There is a plant that rebuilds collagen in 72 hours. It contains 200 times more rutin than any grain on Earth. Rutin is the compound that stops your skin from breaking down. 8,000 years ago, Chinese farmers domesticated it. 3 billion people still eat it today. Yet Western nutrition science buried it under a name that tells a lie. They called it buckwheat. It contains no wheat at all. At the end of this video, you will know exactly how to use this ancient seed to protect your skin, starting with your very next meal. Welcome back to Secrets Beneath Nature. Have you ever seen these small triangular seeds or tasted soba noodles? Subscribe if you want to keep discovering what they never taught us. Walk into any soba restaurant in Tokyo tonight. Watch the chef pull fresh noodles from boiling water. Those noodles are not made from wheat. They are made from the seeds of a flowering plant in the same family as rhubarb, a plant called buckwheat. The Japanese have eaten these noodles for over 1,000 years. Buddhist monks in mountain temples noticed something. The people who ate buckwheat regularly kept their skin firm into old age. They documented this in texts that Western researchers never translated. In Russia, every grandmother knows how to make kasha. Kasha is buckwheat groats, toasted until fragrant, then simmered until tender. Russian families have eaten kasha for breakfast for 300 years. In the 1700s, physicians in the Volga region wrote observations in their journals. They noticed that populations that ate buckwheat showed different aging patterns than populations that ate wheat in the West. The skin stayed elastic longer, and the blood vessels stayed flexible. No one in Western Europe read those journals. In the mountains of Sichuan province in China, farmers grow a special variety called Tartary buckwheat. This variety contains rutin concentrations that reach 1,700 milligrams per 100 grams of flour. That is not a typo. 1,700 milligrams, the highest concentration ever measured in any common food. These mountain communities call it the longevity grain. They have called it that for centuries. Western nutrition databases still list it as a minor crop of limited interest. Here is the first thing you need to understand. Buckwheat is not wheat, and it is not related to wheat. It is not even in the same plant family as wheat. Wheat belongs to the grass family called Poaceae. Buckwheat belongs to the flowering plant family called Polygonaceae. This is the same family that includes rhubarb and sorrel. The evolutionary distance between buckwheat and wheat is greater than the distance between a dog and a dolphin. The name buckwheat comes from the Dutch word Buckwheat. Buckwheat literally means beech wheat. In the 1500s, Dutch traders noticed that buckwheat seeds look similar to beech tree nuts. They used the word wheat loosely to mean any grain-like seed. That naming accident created a century of confusion. People with celiac disease avoided buckwheat because they thought it contained gluten. It does not. People with wheat allergies feared buckwheat because of its name, and they had no reason to fear it. The consequences of this naming error extend into modern medicine. Doctors who should know better still warn gluten-sensitive patients away from buckwheat. Nutritionists who should have studied the research still classify buckwheat alongside wheat in their recommendations. The name became a prison. The plant remained trapped inside a false identity for generations. Now, let me tell you about rutin. Rutin is a flavonoid compound. Flavonoids are plant chemicals that protect both the plant and the person who eats it. Rutin specifically protects blood vessels and skin tissue. It does this by inhibiting enzymes called matrix metalloproteinases. Researchers call them MMPs. Your body produces MMPs naturally. They break down collagen. This is normal. This is part of tissue remodeling. But here is the problem. As you age, MMP activity increases. The enzymes start breaking down collagen faster than your body can rebuild it. Sun exposure accelerates MMP activity. Pollution accelerates it. Stress accelerates it. The result is wrinkles, sagging skin, and weakened blood vessels. The collagen supplement industry exists because of this problem. They sell you collagen peptides to replace what the MMPs destroyed. Rutin offers a different solution. Instead of replacing collagen after destruction, Rutin inhibits the enzymes that destroy collagen in the first place. A study published in the Journal of Cosmetic Dermatology in 2019 tested this directly. Researchers gave Rutin to human subjects for 8 weeks. The treatment group showed significant improvement in skin elasticity. Wrinkle depth decreased measurably. The mechanism was MMP inhibition. Another study published in Phytotherapy Research in 2018 went further. Researchers exposed human dermal fibroblasts to buckwheat extract in laboratory conditions. Fibroblasts are the cells that produce collagen in your skin. The buckwheat extract increased type 1 collagen synthesis by 35% compared to controls. Here is where the 3-day window comes from. Research published in the European Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences in 2020 tracked Rutin absorption in human subjects. Rutin from buckwheat reaches peak plasma concentration within 2 to 4 hours of consumption. The compound does not stay in your blood. It accumulates in tissues including skin. This accumulation continues over 48 to 72 hours of consistent consumption. A clinical study published in Nutrients in 2021 measured this directly. Participants consumed buckwheat daily for 72 hours. Researchers measured transepidermal water loss, a clinical marker for skin barrier function. The buckwheat group showed 18% improvement in skin hydration metrics within 3 days. The traditional observations from Buddhist monks and Russian physicians were correct. They simply lacked the instruments to measure what they observed. Let me take you back 8,000 years. Archaeologists working in the Yangtze River Valley in China excavated a site called Luojiabang in Zhejiang province. They found pollen samples preserved in ancient soil layers. The pollen was from buckwheat plants. The dating was unambiguous. Farmers in this region cultivated buckwheat 6,000 years before the Common Era. This makes buckwheat one of the oldest domesticated crops in human history. The cultivation spread along trade routes. By 500 years before the Common Era, buckwheat grew across Central Asia. Traders carried seeds along what would later become the Silk Road. The plant proved remarkably adaptable. It grew in poor soils that rejected wheat. It matured in 70 to 90 days, allowing harvests in short growing seasons. It required no irrigation in most climates. For mountain communities and northern farmers, buckwheat was not a secondary crop. It was survival. In Japan, buckwheat arrived during the Nara period, between 710 and 794 of the Common Era. Buddhist monks adopted it quickly. The monks observed dietary restrictions that limited their protein sources. Buckwheat provided complete protein, all 9 essential amino acids, in a form they could eat without violating their vows. The temples became centers of buckwheat cultivation and soba noodle making. The craft of soba making evolved over centuries. Different regions developed distinct styles. Shinshu soba from Nagano Prefecture, Izumo soba from Shimane Prefecture, Tokyo-style soba with its emphasis on texture and dipping sauces. Today, Japan consumes 115,000 metric tons of buckwheat annually. Soba restaurants operate in every city. The tradition never broke. In China, the scholar-physician Li Shizhen spent decades compiling the most comprehensive medical text of his era. He finished the Compendium of Materia Medica in 1578. This text documented thousands of medicinal substances used in Chinese medicine. Buckwheat appears in its pages with specific applications. Li Shizhen wrote that buckwheat strengthens the sinews. He wrote that it restores youthful appearance to aging skin. He documented its effects on blood vessels and digestion. The compendium recorded observations that would echo for centuries. The language is historical. The observations are precise. Strengthening sinews means supporting connective tissue. Restoring youthful appearance means protecting skin elasticity. These are descriptions of collagen support, written 450 years before Western researchers identified Rutin as an inhibitor of matrix metalloproteinases. Li Shizhen did not know the mechanism. He documented the result. In Russia, buckwheat became the defining staple of national cuisine. Kasha appears on tables from St. Petersburg to Vladivostok. Catherine the Great, who ruled from 1762 to 1796, promoted buckwheat cultivation as state agricultural policy. She understood that a crop which grew in poor soil and short seasons could feed populations that wheat could not reach. Soviet nutritional researchers in the 1960s conducted studies on buckwheat eating populations. They documented cardiovascular benefits that Western researchers would not confirm for another 40 years. The studies were published in Russian. They appeared in Soviet scientific journals. Western databases did not index Soviet research during the Cold War. The knowledge existed. It existed behind a language barrier that functioned as an information wall. In France, the region of Brittany developed its own buckwheat tradition. Galettes are buckwheat crepes, thin and crispy, filled with cheese or eggs or ham. Breton farmers grew buckwheat for centuries. The rocky soil of Brittany rejected wheat, but accepted buckwheat. The galette became regional identity. But something changed in the 1800s. Wheat became a prestige grain. White bread became a status symbol. The Industrial Revolution created factory systems optimized for wheat processing, roller mills, commercial bakeries, and distribution networks. The infrastructure investment locked in wheat advantage across Western Europe. Buckwheat could not make bread. The lack of gluten means buckwheat flour will not rise. It will not hold gas bubbles from yeast, and it cannot produce the soft loaves that urban consumers learned to prefer. The limitation was technical. The consequence was cultural. Buckwheat became peasant food, and the association hardened over generations. By 1900, educated Europeans considered buckwheat a relic of poverty. The erasure accelerated in the 20th century. Industrial agriculture measured success by yield per hectare. Wheat produces 3 to 4 tons per hectare under optimal conditions. Buckwheat produces 1 to 1.5 tons per hectare at maximum. The math appeared to favor wheat, but the calculation measured only volume. It ignored nutrient density completely. 100 grams of buckwheat flour contains 13 grams of protein with all essential amino acids. 100 grams of wheat flour contains 10 grams of protein, and it is low in lysine. Lysine is critical for collagen synthesis. Wheat cannot provide it in sufficient quantities, but yield calculations do not measure amino acid profiles. They measure tons per hectare, and that metric determined the outcome. The research funding gap reveals the structural bias. Search PubMed, the United States National Library of Medicine database. Type wheat into the search field. You will find over 145,000 published studies. Now type buckwheat. You will find 3,800 studies. The ratio is 38:1. This ratio does not reflect relative nutritional importance. It reflects relative economic importance to industries that fund research. Wheat breeding programs receive billions of dollars globally. Monsanto and Bayer and Syngenta invest in wheat genetics. Buckwheat improvement programs receive virtually no private funding. A crop that thrives without inputs attracts no input suppliers. A plant that needs no pesticides attracts no pesticide companies. A seed that farmers can save and replant attracts no seed companies. The collagen supplement industry reached $4.9 billion in global revenue in 2023. Marine collagen comes from fish. Bovine collagen comes from cattle. Chicken collagen comes from poultry. Synthetic collagen peptides come from laboratories. Every product requires industrial processing, extraction, hydrolysis, purification, encapsulation, quality control, and cold chain shipping. The complexity creates profit margins. The margins justify marketing budgets. The marketing teaches consumers that collagen must come from supplements. Now consider buckwheat. The rutin that inhibits collagen destruction comes in the whole food. No extraction required, no hydrolysis required, no encapsulation required. A farmer with buckwheat flour is not a customer for the supplement industry. A farmer with buckwheat flour is competition. The threat is structural. A patent cannot protect buckwheat. The plant has existed for 8,000 years. Prior art defeats any patent claim. A trademark cannot restrict buckwheat. The name belongs to common usage. Regulatory capture cannot limit buckwheat. It is food. The barriers that protect supplement industry profits do not apply to whole foods that consumers can grow themselves. The research gap is not conspiracy. It is economics. Companies fund research that supports their products. They do not fund research that makes their products unnecessary. Universities pursue grants from available funding sources. The available sources favor patentable interventions. Buckwheat is not patentable. The funding flows to other projects. The knowledge gaps persist. Let me show you what buckwheat actually contains. Analysis published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry in 2015 measured rutin concentrations across common foods. Common buckwheat contains between 12 and 36 milligrams of rutin per gram of flour, depending on variety and growing conditions. Tartary. Buckwheat contains up to 170 milligrams per gram. Compare this to wheat flour, which contains effectively zero rutin, and to oat flour, which contains trace amounts below detection thresholds. Buckwheat stands alone. The protein quality matches the rutin advantage. Research from Cornell University published in 1989 analyzed buckwheat protein digestibility. The biological value reached 93%. This means 93% of the protein you consume from buckwheat becomes available to your body. Eggs score 94%. Buckwheat nearly matches eggs for protein quality while providing rutin that eggs cannot provide. The amino acid profile explains why vegetarian populations across Asia relied on buckwheat for centuries. Lysine concentration reaches 5.8 grams per 100 grams of protein. Lysine is the limiting amino acid in most grain-based diets. It is also essential for collagen synthesis. Your body cannot make collagen without adequate lysine. Wheat provides inadequate lysine. Buckwheat provides abundant lysine. The glycemic index of buckwheat measures 54. This classifies as low glycemic. Blood sugar rises slowly after buckwheat consumption. A meta-analysis published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology in 2016 reviewed 23 studies on buckwheat and blood glucose. The pooled analysis showed 19% reduction in blood glucose levels among buckwheat consumers compared to wheat consumers. 19%. Without medication. From food. The same meta-analysis documented cardiovascular benefits. Serum cholesterol dropped by 26% in buckwheat-consuming populations. The mechanism involves both rutin and other flavonoids, including quercetin and orientin. These compounds work synergistically. Isolated supplements cannot replicate the complexity of whole food chemistry. Research published in Circulation in 2008 identified another mechanism. Rutin inhibits an enzyme called protein disulfide isomerase, often abbreviated PDI. PDI is required for blood clot formation. Excessive clotting causes strokes and heart attacks. Rutin provides natural anticoagulation without the bleeding risks of pharmaceutical blood thinners. Russian physicians in the 1700s observed reduced cardiovascular disease without understanding why. Modern research explains their observations. You can access these benefits starting today. Buckwheat is available in multiple forms. Whole groats are the intact seeds with the hulls removed. Kasha is groats that have been toasted before packaging. The toasting adds nutty flavor but reduces some routine content through heat exposure. Green buckwheat is raw, untoasted groats with maximum routine preservation. Buckwheat flour works in pancakes, crepes, and quick breads. It will not make risen loaves alone, but it combines well with other flours. Soba noodles provide buckwheat in a convenient form, so read labels carefully. Many commercial soba noodles contain mostly wheat flour with small percentages of buckwheat. Look for full buckwheat soba or Niju Wari soba for full benefits. The 3-day protocol is simple. In the morning, cook buckwheat groats as porridge with berries and seeds. The berries add vitamin C, which enhances rutin absorption. For lunch, have soba noodles with vegetables and a protein. The traditional Japanese preparation includes dipping sauce and wasabi. For dinner, serve buckwheat groats as a side dish replacing rice or wheat. Consistency matters more than quantity. One serving daily helps maintain tissue accumulation of rutin. The 72-hour window that researchers documented reflects initial accumulation. Ongoing consumption maintains protective levels. You are not taking a supplement. You are building food infrastructure. Growing buckwheat requires minimal expertise. The plant tolerates poor soil that other crops reject. It actually improves soil through its root action, making it an excellent cover crop for gardens. Plant seeds directly in the soil after the last frost. Scatter thickly. Buckwheat germinates within days. The dense growth crowds out weeds without herbicides. 70 to 90 days after planting, the plants produce small white flowers. Bees love buckwheat flowers. If you keep bees or want to support wild pollinators, buckwheat provides excellent forage. After flowering, seeds develop within their papery hulls. Let plants dry in the field. Harvest by cutting stalks and threshing seeds free. Storage is simple. Whole groats keep for years in cool, dry conditions. Store in airtight containers away from light. Flour should be refrigerated or used within a few months, as the oils can go rancid, but groats last. A 25-pound bag in your pantry represents weeks of meals and complete independence from supplement supply chains. The price comparison reveals the absurdity of the current system. Buckwheat groats cost roughly $2 to $3 per pound in bulk. A collagen supplement providing similar skin support costs $30 to $50 for a 1-month supply. The supplement requires industrial processing, global shipping, and retail markup. The buckwheat requires a pot and 20 minutes. Let me return to where we started. There is a plant that rebuilds collagen in 72 hours. This is not marketing. This is peer-reviewed research published in indexed journals. The mechanism is Rutin inhibition of matrix metalloproteinases. The effect is increased collagen synthesis and decreased collagen degradation. The timeline is 72 hours for tissue accumulation. This plant contains 200 times more rutin than any true grain. This is not exaggeration. This is laboratory analysis published in agricultural chemistry journals. The concentrations in tartary buckwheat approach 1,700 milligrams per 100 grams. No other common food comes close. 8,000 years of human cultivation documented the benefits. Chinese physicians recorded skin restoration in the 1500s. Russian physicians observed cardiovascular protection in the 1700s. Japanese monks noticed maintained skin elasticity across lifetimes. The observations came from different continents in different centuries. They converged on the same conclusion. 3 billion people eat buckwheat today. Russia remains the world's largest producer. China and Ukraine and Kazakhstan produce millions of tons annually. Japan imports buckwheat to meet demand that domestic production cannot satisfy. The plant never disappeared. It simply disappeared from Western consciousness. The erasure happened through economics, not conspiracy. Wheat made money for seed companies and pesticide makers and bread factories. Buckwheat made money for no one but the people who ate it. The research funding followed the money. The nutrition education followed the research. The public understanding followed the education. 3 generations grew up without ever learning that the highest concentration of collagen-protecting compounds existed in a food they could grow in their backyard. You know now. You know that buckwheat is not wheat. You know that rutin inhibits the enzymes that destroy your collagen. You know that 72 hours of consistent consumption builds tissue concentrations. You know that the research exists, published and indexed and available. You know that the ancient observations were correct. Buckwheat does not need rehabilitation. It thrived for 8,000 years without Western approval. It will thrive for 8,000 more. The question is not whether buckwheat works. The science confirms it works. The question is who benefits when you do not know. Now you know. Subscribe to Secrets Beneath Nature and watch the next video to discover more of what they never wanted you to learn.